The PS5 has been amazing so far. Last year, Sony put out 3 of my top 4 games, and God of War Ragnarok was the 15th 10 out of 10 I'd ever given. This is in credit to Sony's incredible first-party studios, which consists of some of the best developers in the industry. They're always putting out the top-of-the-line products. While they may not be pushing the boundaries of what gaming can be, their quality is always immaculate. Heading into the PS5, I was ecstatic about one feature that was going to make their exclusives even more compelling: the DualSense. More specifically, the haptic feedback. I'm not someone who cares about immersion. To be honest, I don't get how you can be immersed in a game that isn't VR. But I love the excellent little touches developers will put into games to make them feel more natural. And the DualSense looked like the perfect way for devs to easily input those little touches into all of their games. And so we arrived at the PS5's launch. And oh my god, it blew me away. The gradual easing of the triggers that matched the crescendo of Miles' swinging was an otherworldly experience. Feeling the tug of the webs as I swung across a snowy New York had me thinking that this was the future of gaming, and PlayStation couldn't go without it. Then I tried out Astro's Playroom, and my soul left my body. I couldn't believe how crazy this felt. There were so many unique ways that the triggers moved, and the response and pushback I got made it feel like the game was fighting against me. It was perfection, and the most prominent feature of the next gen. And with those PlayStation showcases behind us, showing us the glistening future of the PS5, I was giddy at the prospect of this generation. And then nothing happened. Across the many PS5 exclusives released, none have even come close to utilizing the DualSense in any way as effectively as Astro's Playroom did. It's all been so basic. For some of these, I don't blame the devs. In an action game like God of War, I would hate for there to be serious pushback when I'm trying to get combos out as quickly as possible. Forbidden West was pretty cool. The first thing everyone thought of when haptic feedback was brought up was Aloy pulling her bowstring, and there's a satisfying snap when you release a shot, just like how an actual bow would operate. Gran Turismo made a really smooth use of the triggers. While actual pedals don't push back as hard as the DualSense did, it added to the elegance that Gran Turismo prides itself on. Rift Apart is where it really started to fall apart for me. You are mashing the triggers a lot in this game, as you would do in all shooters, and holy hell does it hurt. After a few hours, I had to switch it off entirely as my digits were absolutely throbbing with the strain and consistency with which I had to fight against the triggers. I haven't played any modern Call of Duty titles, but I can only imagine how searing the pain must be. This was when the DualSense turned into a curse and a wasted opportunity, and I finally realized that this was nothing more than a marketing pitch for Sony. It's a way to charge even higher prices for its controllers, and dollars to donuts, I'm betting this is why the PS5 is white. When I was buying my Nintendo 3DS, I wanted the white one that came with Mario Kart 7, and my mum told me there's no such thing as a white plastic product, just a temporary white one that turns into a yellow one. Sure enough, she was right, as my DualSense looked so disgusting after a year that I had to get a black one so that I could stomach touching it. So bravo Sony, an absolutely genius design and marketing move. I'm shocked that there haven't been any third-party games that take advantage of the controller. It's all been the stereotypical pushback for guns to make shooting feel more realistic. Although I did like how Deathloop locked the trigger in place whenever the guns would jam in a firefight, although I'm nearly certain that Kojima has already thought up some absolutely insane implementations for the haptic feedback. Maybe when we piss in DS2, the feedback will be more substantial the more erect Sam is. However, the game I'm most looking forward to for DualSense implementation is Spider-Man 2. With all the new traversal options the game has shown off, I'm sure that Insomniac is going to have some crazy new way to use haptic feedback in response to the swinging we've seen so far, and though I haven't played much of it, I'd say Returnal knocked it out of the park with the triggers, turning them into two separate buttons depending on how hard you push. That is the kind of way we should be using this new technology. It should be benefiting of the gameplay, not making it feel a bit more realistic. The truth of the matter is, I'm hopeful for the DualSense's future, despite the PS5's age at this point. Because of Sony's insane development time to make its games, we're only now finished with the PS4. Spider-Man 2 is the start of PlayStation first-party games being made exclusive for PS5. As we see these games come out and leave the PS4 behind, I'm sure that the most talented first party in history is going to figure out how to master this controller. I mean, let's be honest, the PS4 didn't have any true next-gen games until Uncharted 4, and the PS5 is around the same age as the PS4 when that game came out. But so far, the future of controllers that Sony promised has been little more than a neat feature, or in some cases an excruciating test of endurance, and with only a rare few excellent examples of use.